Well, hello, everybody. How are you all doing? So good to see you. We are here. You are here. That means you are at the right place at the right time. So welcome, everyone. I think I need to hit this one button here, and it will get everything else going. Yeah, it's one of those high energy days. I hope that you're feeling it. And may Trina and I both just speak favor over you. Nothing missing, nothing broken. That's true prosperity and perfection, I guess, in my perception. And thank you for your energy. Y'all are just beautiful people. Thank all you moderators. And listen, just because you're not a moderator and you don't have a wrench next to you, it's most of you have been here long enough. You can assume that part. So assume the position. So, all right, now moving right on along. Hello, Miss Trina. How are you doing, my dear?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. And it's so good to be here with you and the Soul Tribe. So hello, everybody. And yes, Wayne, I can't wait to get into this. It's very interesting.
It's going to be an interesting conversation. So saw you over with Mr. Robert V and Ryan, and it's good to see it. Ryan is still thriving, but it was an interesting conversation. And I thought that Robert does a good job over there. So it was a good convo. So Nina,
I like
hello.
Ryan. I love him. I watched him get his doctorate.
A cool dude.
We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
We have a very strange dream time and astral connection. Like we can remote view and go to the same place and see each other when we're there. So we've had some very interesting experiences. So it's wonderful.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Hello, Marie. How are you? That is crazy. You said that about Fugue. And it's interesting. We're going to get into that subject. Again, most people don't know what a fugue is. Trina, you and I were talking prior here. It's not talked about, but my hypothesis is that that's what humanity is collectively in right now, is a fugue. And I experienced a fugue when, as I was telling you, 1992, was in Las Vegas at a trade show, the SDA, and I was with some friends. I knew something was wrong. I didn't realize that I had advanced Lyme disease that had brought on the bacterial meningitis. And we were downtown at the Golden Nugget, waiting to have dinner at Hugo's Cellar. And great place. If you're in Vegas, it's really, hey, Robert V, Joyce, everyone.
Hi, Robert. Hi, everyone.
And so we were waiting, and we were at the crap table. And this, wow, when it hit me, it was really weird. There was a person who I was intimate with at the time who was with us out there. It was a big deal. I mean, the company, everyone else, who looked at me because she was sitting over there on the craps table, and she said, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I don't know really where I'm at. And I was looking at people and I could see through them. It was weird. And I barely made it back to the hotel. And that's when the symptoms started. But the point is, it was a feeling that, I got to tell you, I've never experienced anything like that. There's only one author, as you and I were talking, that I know who's wrote on this, and it was Dean Koontz in one of his books back in the early 90s, where the fugue played a major role in this whole backdrop of the story. So again, a fugue is a dissociative see, I got it right that time, Gina.
Yeah, you did.
Fugue is a temporary state where a person has memory loss, amnesia, and ends up in an unexpected place. Wow. I think that's here's another sign for a fugue. It's weird. When you can't identify, for instance, humanity right now, there's nothing new. There's nothing new. There in science, there's nothing new in religion. There's nothing new in virtually everything. It's so humanity is stuck in this state of consciousness, which could be defined as a fugue. We don't even remember our beginnings.
No.
And you look at how we talk about here, primarily into the esoteric. I mean, this is not Wall Street Journal type of material that they're going to cover. They really think people like us are fringe dwellers, that we're really out there and we have nothing to do or association with the real world. But when I look at their so-called real world, I have to question that they're displaying all the symptoms of a fugue.
Yeah, or it could be not having soul.
No argument with me there. I mean, that it, and people are writing more on this, and I think
because even if you had a fugue, you still got your bearings, and you're still to a position of your consciousness where you're exploring that you're more than your body. You know what I mean? You broke free out of it. But maybe if you don't have a soul, maybe you just never can break out of these things. You're stuck.
The actual thing, the phenomenon when a human experiences a fugue, it's and it's just like I said, it's a person that has memory loss, and it's a temporary state, and you end up in an unexpected place, which means that the surroundings are not familiar to you, even though they should be. And so if you extrapolate this from the physical, what the human brain can now, in my case, you know, I was burning up with fever. I don't recommend it. It'll kill you. But there's a correlation, I think, into the spirit as well, whether it's a soul, whether it's a spirit. I mean, everyone is aware of the events yesterday. And it's where human life no longer seems to have value. Now, that concept is so foreign to me. That's why I hate wars. I hate violence.
Me too.
It reduces the life. Whether this is the death realm or not, we're only here for a short time. By the way, you look fabulous. I love the gold jacket.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. The entourage looks, it has a continuity to it. And
the frequency of gold is just
it's
beautiful.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I keep some around my desk.
Yeah, I love the frequency of gold. The sun. It's like the sunshine, and Wayne, it's so that's so like. Fugue is it's so big of a concept. I mean, especially when you expand it out to like the Matrix, we're living in the simulation. It's like, are we just in a fugue?
What if the machine has a fugue?
Temporary insanity yet? Are we just still rolling around in it? Oh God.
It's like, well, maybe the machine has a fugue. And by the way, again, there's such good conversation happening. We just say hello to you all.
That could, it could have a fugue.
Yeah.
Which would just be a time clock rolling reset with just running different options out of the data points it has to work with, which are probably pretty big, talking infinity, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it's probably a pretty big system.
I heard recently that the concept, and it's a theory about infinity. We don't know. It's just a theory,
Correct.
like most everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, man, I thought that was fact. No, it's a theory. That maybe there is not infinity, because as this one physicist was explaining, our math only takes us so far. Now, we know, for instance, with pi, you can extend it out, quote unquote, to infinity. But even as the person says, at some point, the number either has another number or it's zero. So does infinity really exist? I don't know.
Infinity to me represents exactly what the symbol is. It's loops and loops and loops. Yeah. So I think
that scares me. I use that word merely as a description. The idea of this crazy eight,
Yeah, and it's the same thing of the hourglass, Wayne.
Yeah.
It's the
yeah.
same symbology.
Well, it's the torus field. That's what it
Yes.
is. That's what it
Yes,
is.
absolutely.
So
yeah,
I'm asking myself, where are we at in that torus cycle? Are we at the beginning of entering into the torus? Are we mid part of the torus? Are we at the pinnacle of the torus, about to slide back down to where we get back into? I mean,
well, we have our own individual torus, and then we have a torus of the earth, and then there's a torus of the solar system, and then there's a torus field of the universals. There's
that's just a torus in my ass.
yes. There's torus after torus after torus. So when we're in the atomic material planes, it's all torus fields. So that's the whole bite of the apple thing. We're in the apple system. We're in the toral field apple system, because the torus looks like an apple.
No, but isn't it then you could deduce by that that we're in an infinite trap?
Well, that's the reptilian replication system. That's what they showed me about
this sucks.
And the replication. Well, yes and no, because I think that's because it got hijacked over the wars, the galactic wars. We lost Earth to the reptilians and draconians. And they took it over and terraformed it. And then they got a hold of humans and started modifying and creating and playing that. So yeah, a lot of this is because we lost the.
Do you think they're still doing it? If you go by, Mulder, X-Files, that the human genome is in a constant state of flux.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm broke. I think
I think it did get. I think Trina, I don't think we all have souls.
I don't think so either, because I think a lot of their souls got fractaled so much. A lot of the bodies now are just cloned replicas of an original that did have a soul. But it's like when you make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Eventually, the copy don't work anymore. It's all blurred and distorted.
Yes, that's degradation.
That's what I see. So, like after so many copies, there's just not a lot of spark at all, if anything, left in that vessel, because it's just an image at that point. There's no divine spark left in it, because the soul essence has just been copied out of it. Because see, I think before the galactic wars and before what they would call the fall, I think that we were going into physical planets, and we would incarnate to learn and experience and go through the amnesia process. But then when we dropped our physical body, we kept all of the knowledge and returned and took that back up to that's the whole cloud thing. You deposit the information there, because those vibrations can't even go into the higher realms. So, but it's safe deposited in your cloud is like your Akashic records, whatever, but you have them. So, but when you don't have a soul, I don't think you get any of that. Like when it's done, it's done. So a lot of the copies are just going to expire and they won't do anything. But I think before they messed with our DNA, that was the thing. We were unified in soul and spirit. And through the fall and the separation of vibration, somehow we were able to get cut off from our lower soul fractals in the second and third dimensions, and they got cut off from the higher source. So like our ladder to go back home is broken from our DNA.
Loretta says, could each fractal retain a piece of the soul?
I think, yeah. And I think that's very bad when that happens. Because I think like your soul fractals are supposed to have, a little bit of a decent percentage of soul to guide you through the incarnation. You need
it's interesting.
Soul. Yeah, because it's the template, it's the information, it's memory, it's data. It's
so is feminine. That then God? I mean, listen, when I look at that,
one part, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. That video I did yesterday, almost 1,800 views on it. Yep. Yet I didn't see anyone seriously tackle the question. What is the purpose of God? What is the reason?
It depends on if you're looking at it as a worship idol, or are you looking at it as an essence of creation? So
yeah, but I think that you said creation, and that's a buzzword, trigger word, because you talk to the average person on the street that, they always like, yeah, I got my flag and I got my Bible, and that makes me, I'm spiritual. Okay.
Right?
All right.
Yeah.
Settle
No, I
down
mean
there.
the quantum essence fabric of
You
all
know,
creation. Yeah, I'm talking
but
a different language. That's what I mean. It's like,
it says like,
which God are you talking about?
well,
It
you ain't around from here. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. But
Right.
it gets to that point, of okay, what creation?
Mhm.
We view it, or we're taught to view it as a one-time event. The
Yeah, I
first
can't
day
buy that.
God said, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
I can't buy any of that, Wayne.
Well, what it means is that then God is a mute.
Right.
Well, I'm just, hey, I'm just a country fella here.
That's
Because
what
if
I
it
mean.
says that, because if
Oh,
everything that he did is when he spoke, it created something.
yeah.
Well, it says the seventh day he rested. I didn't read anything after the seventh day.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I can't buy any of that. I used to for a
I mean,
long
I'm
time. I
searching for
did.
this cat. I mean, did we miss the clue there, Trina? Did it go, hey, you idiots, check it out. He ain't talking anymore, or it ain't talking anymore.
Right. Right. And the part of that that's talking was Elohim. And it was,
I
yeah,
think that the Elohim, Yahweh, is an imposter. I believe
I
that they are merely usurping something that was here before them.
I think they might be part of the actual creators of the Matrix.
Well, they're bad dudes. Well, what
I know,
dudettes?
and
I don't know. Maybe they're, yeah,
that's why
yeah.
this is a trap, and we're not able to go back home anymore. And they've messed with our genetics and broke our ladders, so we can't get back to go recharge and deposit our knowledge and go to different universes. We're not supposed to be stuck in one. We're supposed
Well,
to be
that's what
going
I'm
to all
saying.
kinds
Something
of
happened
different
here.
ones.
I.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's good, but I
So what
do
does a
think
God do?
it puts in the repair codes, and I
You
pretty
see,
much
but
I
that in
hope
itself
that's not.
implies that he broke it. It was never perfect to begin with.
I think it comes through us, through our souls, because it can't get to these levels anymore. It's literally been cut off from its own creation. I literally think that might be true.
I don't know. I know that we had a paranormal event happen here recently, and it's because Lynn so often is there when people are in that final transition and have made the tradition. And there is that, as I told her, we do a cleansing because she, sometimes we had someone who hitchhiked a ride into our
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, Wayne, that they
And
did that to my dad. We had a wrecking yard and people would die in the vehicles and they would stay with the cars and then they would end up at our yard and then they follow my dad home. So I know
yep.
exactly what you're talking about with that.
And so it brings me to this point because I'm going, okay, something isn't. So we get this idea that there's this, transition to where, a lot of ghost hunters and the paranormal shows says that people are lost. Now,
Yeah.
it appears that may be the case because it appears that there is a lot lost, ghost land. So again, where does then, when we talk about what does a God do? Now, I like how one person said, but they said, well, we are all gods or goddesses, and that I do believe.
I do too.
See, I believe that it's, well, let me say, let me just rephrase that. The opinion I hold today is that, because it's all subject to change, it appears that, all right, tomorrow we're having JD and Nina on. We're going to be doing the Demonology 101.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question that has to be asked is, are you human? Whether it's Azael, whether it's Beaziel, all the list, then you have to ask, well, if you're human or not, yes or no. And that brings back the whole question, is God human? People can't handle the fact that we came from simians. We are a human ape. And, listen, and there would be a time in my Christianity, Trina, you and I would probably be on the same fence of this, where we would have defended the fact that no, we are higher than the animals. We are way up here. But when we, be careful what you wish for, when we figured out the human genome, holy crap, it's true. So,
and then another level of that too is in the zodiac. It's a zoo dial. There's very little human
isn't
forms.
that
It's all
interesting?
animals. That was another big, put it
great
together.
observation.
Yeah, put it all together. You're part of the animal kingdom. And I think that's part of being in the earth, in the flesh. You're merged with the animals. That's why this is a carbon-based body, 666. In essence, we're sitting in the beast already, our flesh.
If there is one thing that you could interpret the fall of man, humanity, it would be that we failed to uphold our position on the throne. And that is that we did not meet the expectation as an advanced overseer of the animal kingdom. We failed. We failed our kingdom. We failed all the species.
Man,
that
right
may
now
be
we're doing
what's
it big
happened to
time.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but
I don't know, Wayne. I do. I think there's been an influence over this planet that was it's been here for a long time. And I do. I think that just like creation, it breathes out and then it breathes in. Well, get ready, because I think it's getting ready to breathe in.
Well, creation never stops.
Never. That's why I'm telling you, it's like a breath.
Yeah.
It goes in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
I see it as, if there was a being that could be construed in the definitions or the parameters of God, if its purpose was to create, it would always create. It would. I don't see how it could stop.
I don't either.
And here's just me. I don't think it's concerned about what it's created.
I don't think it kind of is. Yeah, it's kind of indifferent. It knows.
Thank you.
Knows
That's
for
a good word. Yeah.
Because as the dimensions go deeper, you go deeper into, just like the human body. The deeper you go into the body, the bottom part is your anus and your bowels. Bottom line. Third, but above that is stomach, sacral, regenerative properties. They're all physical things, physical parts of life, and digestion and death and life. That's where you give birth through that part of the body. It's profound. I see the systems kind of like bodies. There's different dimensions in those systems, representing like the different dimensions in our body, and the depth of our anger and our rage and our waste and our shit and all of it, digestion and vomiting and all of it. It's all the same. It's just expressing in a bazillion different ways. That's just how I see it. I see everything is like a reflection of man, and I see universal constructs in a construct of a consciousness. Like it would be an individual body with consciousness and all the levels of that in that body. So you could experience in that universal construct all these different dimensions, just like we experience dimensional here. So I just see it huge, just huge. But I see bodies. Wayne, I see bodies. It's so
I see
weird.
Dead people. Can you explain why the Bible
kinda
tells us and to think it's important to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind? Well, because I think we've been deceived into thinking that there is actual a God of love. I could say I have my PhD in Bible. Nowhere in the Bible does it describe a God of love. Paul in 1 Corinthians, 13, 4-8 describes love, but I don't know any God or entity that meets that criteria that Paul said. So go. It kind of goes where you are. I want to get back. Go ahead. What was that?
I think because I can love. Creation loves. I love. So I know I'm part of that. So I know I have the ability to love intensely. So I know
and that love is individual.
That. Yeah, but we're all individual pieces of the creation. You can't get out of that. We're all connected by that same fabric, whatever it is. It's a fabric of creation. It goes beyond physical, beyond life. It's beyond. So it's a fabric of something. But what that is, I know it has benevolence, and the higher the vibrations, the more joy and love you feel. So I do know that exists.
We speak as
Not
adults
here,
on
though.
this.
I don't think here, Wayne. I don't think here.
No.
No, not here. Not in this third dimensional realm. Earth. No.
Well, no,
really
but love
been
is
broken.
an active aspect. And my whole point being, listen, I come from a childhood where there was just, physical torture, beatings. I did not know the construct of love. I had it prior to that, but my point is that love has many different shades to it. And there may be a shade that where one person sees it as love, where another person in love would perceive it to be just the opposite of love.
Yes.
I think it's a miracle that so many in this group that have faced that same type of abuse as children, and that the fact is that the individual journey was so remarkable that it eventually did lead us into that vein of thought of what love is. If you take it, Paul says love, it does not seek its own way, doesn't seek its own glory. It's not touchy. It's not fretful. It's ever mindful to see the best of every person. It forgives. It forgives every offense that it encounters.
Yep.
Love never fails. It never grows weak. Okay, so I dig those words, but the problem is I don't see them in humanity.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I mean, I see glimpses of it, but let me tell you, it's not the way it was intended to be. I don't believe, but it's not. You're right.
Someone says, you guys are getting confused between soul and spirit. I don't know about that, Urantia 101, 0001. I tell you, we covered it a lot. We're open-minded enough to realize that no one has the right answer. No one. If you're reading a book, you're reading a book of someone else's thought. And it's like I challenge any preacher. Show me who told you there was a God.
Right.
All you have is a book.
And
it's
that's
the individual. So anyway, we love you though. So
yeah, it's one of my greatest comforts because my early memories, I was walking with this being called the Lord, and who, what, where, I don't know. All I know is that having memories of existing and the conversations and the experiences and jumping off the roof, all of those things, I'm so glad I didn't forget, because it's helped me. Because I do know I existed before I existed here. And that is a powerful thing to know without having to go through a near-death experience, without, you know what I mean? I had a knowing of that since I was a small child. And that was kind of bad too, because then I really wasn't afraid to die. So that made me a handful, because I had no fear of anything. I wish I could be like that right now, feeling the way I
says,
felt.
God will show you love if you bring the barbecue, bring the ribs.
Right, bring the ribs.
Yeah, that's another thing. Boy, someone got pissed off when I said, prove to me how this New Testament God is the Old Testament God.
Oh, you can't. They're not the same at all.
All I had to say to Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Right. And that's, I think, why it says Bible, because you've got two different gods.
It's bifurcated, folks. That's it,
And you've got two. There's Bibles. And when wasn't the Bible written in the age of Taurus?
Yeah, I mean, and again, the Bible, it's amazing how we get this construct. It is actually has been highly edited, highly refined, but you have 66 books that are written, by, I think it's 57 different so-called authors. They're all dead. No one has ever seen an original. They don't exist, but yet people will shoot you. They will curse you. They will slay your name if you come and say that Bible is nothing more than a pile of bullshit. Because you can't validate any of it. Oh, but it's got prophecy. Yeah, that's
Right.
programming. Excuse me,
Ancient
Trina.
Sumeria didn't even know about this God.
They didn't know about the God
That's
Yahweh.
what I mean. It's God is
Who?
God. You can fight over names and kill each other over names. That's just going to be your own lesson. It ain't going to get you nowhere because it's bigger than that. Everybody's trying to put it in a box or in a book. It's like, good luck with that. Have fun. Good luck.
Kelly says no one has the answer, but some people have frequencies
Right.
to impact our lives through experiences. Yes, I agree with that.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And none of us know. No, we
No.
don't. We're in human flesh existing in a third dimensional realm under mind control. Really, God help us all. Whatever that
See,
power is, help us all.
Brandy says, do you wonder if those things happened to you as a child to try and to keep you from your purpose for incarnating here?
Oh,
Yeah, I had it all
I
worked
do.
out. Listen, I have said this before, Trina and Brandy, and to everyone else. I must have planned something because where I was born was in the middle of the country, ended up serendipitously in California. More importantly, where we were in California, we moved to Santa Clara, and I mean, less than a mile away, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, about 7 miles. I mean, I can go and show you where I went to the same elementary school.
Right.
Then someone threw me a curveball because the next thing I know, I'm being ripped from that, end up being taken down to Houston, then get ripped from that and end up in St. Louis for a freak show of all freak shows. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, when you're put in a mental institution, and when you find that was really a very cool experience, that tells you how bad it was, and the reason why I got out of there is because they found out I wasn't the problem. It was the so-called parental units. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, none of
I
us
did
know.
learn love, though, from the fact that I've always had it crushes me. Like, yesterday we had a problem with our daughter's dog. And, you take as an empath, you feel that dog has got a soul, it's, yeah.
I think so.
And Trina, your life has been one of adventure as well. I mean, when you look at the paths that we've taken to where we've arrived.
Yeah, and I think
maybe only a God could do that.
Yeah, and here we learn from contrast. So the only way we know hot and cold is by having hot and cold. We have something to gauge it on. So in the physical sense world, you have all these contrasts and all these different things, and that's what makes this experience so real. And I think the way it was originally intended was this would be a realm where you could go into physicality and you could feel your thought. So you would feel what you thought. So you would have to feel what you created from a feeling environment, because Earth is, I think, very unique that way. With physicality, you get to experience a different level of touch. But I don't think it was ever meant to go this dense.
No. And the reason why I got there, someone said, why did you go? It was my mother. I was smarter than they were. I was considered a genius in my IQ score, well into the 160s. And so I was more of a handful than what they could have ever gotten into.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
Totally get it.
Yeah. Regarding Wayne's pinned message, jail may be a place when it comes to such, after such an episode. That's, it's that whole thing again, the torus field, the infinity. I mean, okay, but it's still a loop.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's remember the frequency field?
Yeah.
I wonder if that was the base, one of the bases of it, to get things into a carbon based. So it has something to do with that. I keep seeing.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's another thing. It's my whole life I've been going into my own consciousness, because I was told, don't go to church, don't read the Bible. Let life teach you. Let me teach you. Trust your own trust yourself. And, first formative sentence, no, mom, I do it. So I knew deep in my core, that was a part of my mission here, was to make sure that I stayed into truth to myself, no matter what that looked like or what it felt like. Just stay true to you. That'll be the best guide you have. And that's a really hard thing to learn when nobody else is telling you that or supporting that. It's very difficult, but that has always kept me alive and kept me safe. And it just, proof is in the pudding, because every time I didn't, the consequences were super big. So I've always learned to go into my own self. And like when you go into trance work and stuff, and you start going into your own records and you have access to your lifetimes, it changes you. There's no more question of how big your consciousness is. And through that, you start to realize that the soul is the way we have that. So within that, the ones that don't have it, they're never going to be ever equal to what we can do, because we can have access to the multidimensional realms. And and I don't think that capacity to hold memory and to be multidimensional is an aspect that you have without soul.
I like that. Bonnie says every woman has her own toroidal field that brings in life the uterus. It's true.
Yeah, that's another one within one. Yeah,
yeah,
your aura field, and then you've got balls of light inside balls of light. It's just
still
tiny bubbles
gets it
playing.
in there.
Yeah, tiny bubbles all around. Tiny bubbles.
When you talk about the lives, so and many in this room and many listening, are on that same path. I mean, you look at it. I was on the streets at the age of 15. I didn't have any supervision, and statistically, there were more opportunities for me to be killed than more opportunities for me to continue on. But for the most part, except for a couple of occasions, never had that. And I look back now, and there was this intuition. I didn't know how to live on the street. I didn't know how to survive, but I did.
Yeah.
Not only did I survive, I thrived.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time I was 16 and a half, I had more money than any 16-year-old that I knew. It's and I began to learn more things. I mean, I met, a number of what I would call today, they were, we called them medicine men out in West Texas and in New Mexico. And all of that at this young age. I mean, you look at this, though.
That's me. I was being exposed to Buddhism. My eighth grade teacher used to take me to her houses on the weekend and tell me about Buddhism. And that's when I learned that I could astral travel and do all this stuff, because she was obviously trying to find out what powers I could work with or whatever. And I was like, didn't even know I could do part of this stuff. I was like, well, this is kind of cool. So that was like, at the ripe old age of 13. Yeah. And then taking off, dropping out of school, having my own apartment at 16. I traveling, doing things I shouldn't be doing, having a blast, being stupid, close to death multiple times. And people I was running with, they got shot in the face 2 weeks after I bailed. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God.
That's a rowdy crowd.
It's rowdy crowds. And
it's a rowdy crowd, I have to say.
Yes, like I said, and I so get it. But
hey, Chloe.
How we got out of that and got through all that crazy stuff and made it through and then turned into what we are now, I think it's all because we've had the experience of contrast. And
it's interesting.
The difference between, and there's no curiosity of what is that stuff like, or what So there's no curiosity, there's a knowing. And I think that's what happens, because thinking and knowing, the only difference is one has a feeling emotion to it and one just has a concept. So that's the difference. Then the true gnosis comes from the emotional wisdom, and that's the heart wisdom. And it's
interesting.
It's the most important part of you.
When I look in the back, and we all have this, because as you get older, as Jean-Luc Picard said, many of us have fewer days ahead of us than those days behind us. It's just the reality.
Yeah.
But as I look we begin on these journeys at such young ages where many kids would have naturally had the parental units, and I met more kids that were messed up out of that than I could have ever hoped to have been. But I also look at how many times that, and I'm sure that when I get over on the other side, I'm going to see what was the purpose. I mean, in 1970, that there was two incidences where, I should have died. I mean, I carry this with me. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that is what happens when you're 15 and stoned on orange barrel sunshine LSD.
Oh,
and you
boy.
put your hand through a French door that had little glass panes. And when you put your hand through that and you pulled back and you hit the main artery and the tendons, bleeding out was but my point is, we've all experienced this. So imagine it could have gone the other way.
Absolutely.
And what a freaking waste that would have been. All that we would have missed.
My friend accidentally, he was going to shoot himself, and then he decided not to, and then he accidentally did. And
he literally to death.
Yeah, and then he was
accidentally.
And then he was like, "I didn't want to do this. I didn't mean to do this." He's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't."
Was this right before he passed over?
Right before he died. Those were the last words.
Well, because it's an amazing feeling. It really is. There's this.
Yeah.
Some people say it's a pouring out. Some people talk about it's a lifting up and out. But it's interesting that he knew that.
He knew.
He said again, say again what he said.
He said, I didn't mean to do this. I didn't want to do this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. I really didn't. I didn't want to die. And he knew.
See, there was a group that went into Janis Joplin's room where she overdosed. And they got an EVP where, whether it was her, whether it was her energy. And she said, I didn't expect to die.
Yeah. I didn't mean this to happen. Yeah. I didn't think that would kill me. They're super shocked.
It's like, wow,
Yeah.
It's like, hello. Like, whoop.
Yeah. You know what Ed Todd LaVey's last words were?
What was it? I got his book right here.
Oh my God, I was wrong. Oh my God.
But the thing is what was he wrong about?
That's a great question, Wayne.
I mean,
he was wrong about something.
He was wrong about something. I mean, we only read, he didn't write anything out, and as far as I view the Satanic Bible as a good fiction story.
Oh God, me too.
And I kind of view the Bible the same way. It's a story of fiction.
Too. It's just stories from people telling stories and testifying.
The Bhagavad Gita is a story of fiction.
Beings. And there's miraculous human beings in those books too. There's beautiful. I mean,
we're going to be talking about which I guess would be considered the arch demons, the top. And it goes back to this thing. Well, if they exist, then we're in a matrix that really doesn't make any sense, because in the truest sense of the word, if they exist, angels, demons, folks, then and for me, then I don't think there's anything like free will. I think that this is, if anything, the living hell. Because you come into this realm, it's the death realm. It hurts like hell to come into it. Birth is, for the most part, the most extremely painful thing any of us will ever experience.
Right.
And then we go through a life that's, when you see the needless suffering over and over again, and then you go through life and you find out deceptions, you find out about heartbreaks, and as you said, we're learning, but yet we're learning in an environment that is intense. It's dense.
Yeah.
I can only
Mhm.
see my birth, and it will be said to be my death certificate, but it will be my birth that I get to. Maybe that's just so maybe that is exactly what it is that we release this burden, but we're never done with it.
I think Steiner said it well. Human suffering is due to the fact that they take so seriously what the gods made for fun. If it's a video
Love that
game,
guy.
right? And if it's a simulation, Wayne, and if like up there, we know we don't die, we're bulletproof. Don't you think you might come back a few times and it's like, oh yeah, the first time I think I want to die, making love. Then the second time I might want to die, shit, I want to die jumping out of a plane, or I want to experience a cataclysm. I
But
want to
what if
go
there ain't no
down.
planes? What if you were eaten by a dinosaur? It's like,
But
or an
maybe that
animal.
was what you wanted to experience. Literally, I literally think
Then
because
that,
there's nothing that anything can do to hurt you. If you literally knew that,
well,
don't
if
you
you
think
come
you'd
into
take
it
on some
knowing that it's only
radical
going to be
stuff?
death, it's only going to be a temporary thing,
Right. You might be like Superman cape, because that's what I saw with planning the incarnation. I was just like, oh, I got this. I thought I was invincible. I really did. I thought shit was going to be easy until I felt it. And when I felt it, I was like, oh God, oh no, 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 no. This is way too dense. No. But they're like, too late. So, but no, that was what was going down. I thought, oh, this is, you think I'm going to forget who I am? No, you don't think you're gonna. I really don't think you do. I think you think you're bulletproof. But also too, I still think we're trapped in a matrix and we're being mind controlled somehow. So I'm going to get past that whole thing too. I'm going beyond that one this time. And it's all you. You agree. You stop, you go, you choose. It's all you. It's
I
when
tell you,
people can
Trina.
realize that it's all you. And Wayne, if these thought forms can have such power, and we can create tulpas and icons and egregores and golems and artificial intelligence as humans. I mean, really? I don't know. I think these things, demons, probably definitely would exist, because if we can create a Jesus with a thought and prayers and worship, why couldn't we create a demon? We've been told about demons our whole existence.
Well, so then that goes back to my question is then why is there a Jesus?
It has to be, they got to have both. You got to have
No, I
truths.
get it, but what is the purpose of Jesus? I mean, I believed for decades, nearly 50 years, that the purpose of Jesus was so I could have my sins forgiven and I could have eternal life. Problem is, I never knew what eternal life really was, and I never knew why it was that I sinned.
I knew nobody could ever forgive me for what
and
I
it's like,
do. I
I'm
always
going,
knew that. I was like, I'm gonna it's all me. I'm gonna get it. If it's me, I'm gonna get it. It's gonna be me. And sometimes I'd be like, I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm willing for the consequences. I'm gonna do it anyways.
and then you get to this point. I meditate on this a lot, So what is the purpose of Jesus? He's Jewish, and supposedly he was never a Christian. And they now tagged this whole religion to him that he never, number one, agreed to, never said that was his purpose. But yet the whole world believes in this. And when it comes down to the facts, ladies and gentlemen, the fact is there can never be a savior, because what is he going to save us from? Ourselves?
Correct. And that's the thing. I read those red letters over and over again, trying to find worship me. I couldn't find it. I looked and looked. I'm like, why is there saying it's a savior and worship, when literally when you look at the Essenes and the Nag Hammadis and the different gospels that talk about Jesus, those messages they're the bigger part of what we see in the Bible. So when you get a fuller context of these original scriptures, it opens your mind to, like, it confirmed what I knew with my relationship with this being, which is like a monk. I mean, he's like a Buddha. He's like an ascended master, but nonetheless, it's my family. It was never a worshipy thing. That was like, I
Are there any females in your realm?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
There's a whole bunch. But this image that I saw when I was little, Wayne, I wonder if that's like it says the only begotten son. I wonder if that's because it was the first image of the sons. Remember, I told you I think sons are correlated to bodies. I keep seeing this, like,
and here's my problem when we were in this construct. I'm taken back to the monkey. So
I
was
know, me
Jesus
too.
the Jesus of the monkeys? And if I get literally of it, then it tells me God, the God of the Bible, the God of Jesus Christ is a monkey because he made us in his image.
Yeah, if it were right. Well, that's what it says in the book.
That's what it said. I didn't write that.
I know that's what it does say in the book. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So monkeys. Oh boy.
I'm so confused.
See, that's why Wayne, you said, do you think God's a human? I was like, nope. And you were like, no. I was like, no, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think God's part of the beast system. We might have a kind of a close resemblance somehow, a little bit, but only, like I said, they're light bodies. They're different. They're not like this. But there's realms where you still have a body like this body. I have a body like this body, but it's a light body too. There's different kinds of bodies I've seen for my own being, and I'm pretty sure you all got the same stuff going on. So
hey, Scotty boy, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're feeling well. Well, it's see, and someone says me no monkey. I get it, folks, but hey, ladies and gentlemen, soul tribers. I mean, you know what? I've had so many hate mail because people can't deal with this RH factor.
No,
and some of the crazy stuff I have heard.
Yeah,
I mean, I wrote one person back. I said, "You're making this shit up."
Right?
that get it. Of all things, it was Satan who put the RH factor into man.
Oh my goodness! Where do you read that? What book do you get that from?
I said the devil. I said that was Flip Wilson. You got that from the devil made me do it. It's like, geez, come on, folks. Will you get? We can't be real. So I think from simians, what was God's purpose in that? You know what it would say? He's a geneticist, or she is, one of the two.
Yeah,
and
remember when I told you, I think through those galactic wars, somehow there was a bunch of us on a planet. And I think that was Tiamat, Terra, the original Terra. And I think all of those souls that were inhabited on that planet, when it got destroyed, we got fractured, man. Boom.
They dumped into this realm.
Yeah, and you got it. It went straight down the hole. Yep. I think that might be what happened. And then our genetics got scrambled. A lot of shit went wrong. So what we're doing in these bodies now, they had to modify because it was not organic to here. So this has been a long process of getting us, the soul, into bodies that could actually function more like a soul essence being rather than a monkey or a Neanderthal or caveman.
That's the fact. I mean, you had Cro-Magna, you had the Denisons, you had Homo erectus. I mean,
there's been so many kinds.
It has.
Then you got the long skull beings, which are
have the elongated skull.
And those are probably our alien geneticists that we procreated with. And that's probably why one of the oldest female statues you see is of a reptilian nursing a human baby, human baby. So that might be, so that might be our whole foundation of how we got mingled with the reptilian. Was through the serpent of the Nagas, the upright serpent beings. And they probably mixed us with the rhesus and serpent, but we also have bird because that's how we speak. That's how we have our voices, from the birds. So they've shown me like how the animals have contributed to how our bodies are put together and function. Like we got parts from this and the ox. I think that's where we got our regenerative organs, is from the ox.
Well, we definitely have the reptile in us.
We even got a reptilian cortex. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there are babies, and it's more often than not that have actual tails. My wife had to have a surgery to remove the, and many women have this. I mean, it's really interesting that we still have within us the reptile.
Absolutely.
So we have reptilian, we have monkey, we have simian.
And I know we have bird. So I know
Yeah.
that. I know that there's
And
bird in
birds,
there
I think,
too.
are really ancestors of the reptilians.
And then you know what I think they call man? I think that is our Lyran, our alien humanoid expressions that probably were captured with the galactic wars, and they were forced into hybrid programs with the reptilians. I'm pretty
That's one
sure.
of the questions I want to ask JD with when we get introduced to these infernal divine ones. Were you really a part of this war? Because you see, the story doesn't make sense because once it starts fraying, it frays. But then again, it's also a story hidden within this rapture, this raptor of saying, folks, there was this. I think we've been captured. I think we've been captured many times.
I do too. And you know, the whole beginning, like it always starts out before man was the angels and the demons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if angels and demons were before man, and then man was created, okay, so what if the angels and the demons are the souls that came out of Tiamat? And what if we're in man, but what if we're the original angels and demons that fell with that massive explosion that blew us up down to our particles?
Well, where did the inhabitants of Mars go?
I don't know.
They may very well be here as well. I read one theory. There's more evidence that we were actually, the overseers were actually more probably Martians than they were anything else.
I think one of the reptilian houses before I think the Nagas, the reptilian, the original upright bipedal Nagas, they might be the original inhabitants of this solar system. That might be why they claim ownership of it.
Yeah, you know, the Thunderbolt Project, the Alien Sky, you know, they say, and they give you the documents, go over there and watch it, that Earth was actually a celestial body of Saturn. And
I've heard that.
Yes, and that was where we get the golden age from, because Saturn's light within itself produced a golden light on Earth, and then this chaos. Now, whether it was the red the star the red dwarf that came through 70,000 years ago, we know that happened. And it is said that this is what threw us into this orbit around this sun now.
That would cause absolute chaos if something drug a moon off of Saturn and pulled it into the position where Tiamat used to be. You know, that could have caused some serious chaos in the solar system. That would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense.
And it's recent enough too. You think about it, you know, that it would give us amnesia. I mean, if we face that, I think Trina, I tell you, I sense that we as a species, we have faced so much trauma in our evolution. We're a traumatized species. We've lost our ability.
Yes. We're so traumatized, Wayne.
Yeah,
and not just from this lifetime. It's like
so much.
When I do sessions, it's people usually, if they really get their stuff worked out, they usually go before this lifetime, and they find out they've been running that route through that tree over and over again. Yeah. So sometimes
in meditation here recently, more and more, I just find myself crying for humanity. It is a sin what's being done to us. If there is sin that exists, then it's being inflicted upon us. Yeah. What an intense freaking hour, Trina.
I know. And you know, Wayne, that the child prophet always still rings in my mind when I get down to these questions and I get frustrated and I just want to know the truth and I don't know. For that child to just stand up and grab the Bible and say, you came here because you're going to watch us turn Satan into love. Now that's a profound thing for her to say that.
Yeah, so, I want to know why he's pissed off at us. I mean, what did we do?
I wonder if it has something to do with artificial intelligence. I wonder.
Could be. I mean, Satan in
wonder.
itself in reality is a thought form, an egregore.
Well,
But
but
powerful
when you
one.
look at the definition, though, the imposter, the adversary, wanting to be like God, but wants to ascend above God. If we're the gods, Wayne, oh shit, that could be the
Now you
being.
see, we'll
See,
probably end our
see,
show on that one because
right.
I
I get a
think
little nervous.
because I think that is exactly what it is. I think that we are in fact gods. And they are sweating bullets that, man, if they ever figure this out.
I think that could be a possibility, just like ants of Disney. Disney, that movie, Ants. I'm like, okay, we're going to be the ants now. We're going to figure it out.
Going to be like that 3-year-old little girl. I'm going to kick his ass. He wants to come and kick my ass. I want to kick you.
My ass. I go kick his ass first.
Oh, folks, we love you. Thank you all. You all are just just a great audience. I see this extended group and the other channels, and I tell you, it's truly this is why I know I am a wealthy spirit, because I've been granted this. I mean, this is Trina, it is such a rarity to be able to be associated with energy fields, because in the past it was basically your social group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this group, the consciousness of this group too, is so open, and we give each other room to explore crazy shit, and it's okay because we know our hearts are good, and we're gonna find our way through this one way or another, because we will find it through the wisdom of our heart. But we're trying to figure this out, and we know with all of the things that we thought that were absolutely 100% validated truth, we found out that they just weren't. So when you go down that rabbit hole, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Then it leads to a lot of confusion. But you know what? Our hearts will find our way through this together, through our hearts, and our love will guide us to wisdom, and we'll find truth through wisdom.
And I'm hearing John Mellencamp. Our hearts were young and foolish. Yeah. Holding hands meant something then.
It sure did.
It did. I tell you, I just when I think about it, holding hands, the crush, and that's what it was always. It was big deal, Oh, you too. Oh, I saw you holding hands. Damn right. Mm-hmm.
That's right. I was so proud. I was holding hands. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Join us tomorrow. We're going to have JD and Nina on, and Demonology 101. It should be quite the journey. Trina, much love to you, darling. I'll tell you, this is the treasure. When we
just
meet,
gotta dig deep and go to all of our thoughts and our theories and our processes and throw them out, and help each other kind of go through this ocean of information, because that's all it is.
Well, I look at these Tuesdays as you're the guy that's been running and you are thirsty. You're thirsty. And then you get here, and this is the type of water that, it has no taste, but yet it's sweet.
Spirit water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Come get yourself another hit.
Right. That's right. Spirit water.
All right, everyone.
Much love.
I do. Yeah. Much love to y'all. And as the cowboys say,